Vanzo, co-founder with Andrea Dominici of mYak Tibetan Fibers, and this is our showroom in New York. I'm coming from a small village in the Alps and the Dolomites in Italy. Well, growing up, I was really living in this small place, and I was always the same routine. Everybody knew each other, everybody knew each other's business. And I really longed to go away. I really wanted to explore the world. My dad used to buy me a lot of books about travel, about different countries. Like me, he was fascinated with the Orient, like China and Japan. And when I was in high school, I liked the idea of poetry. I liked the idea of China. And I said to my dad, I want to go to college and I want to go and study Chinese, to which, of course, my dad said, absolutely not. But at the same time, my dad really wanted me to do what he could never do. So with a little bit, pushing and pulling, I managed to enroll myself at the university in Venice to study Oriental languages. I really wanted to travel to China. I was so fascinated by all of it. The next year, in 1990, I bought a ticket. The only thing I could afford was a train ticket. There's no way I could afford a plane ticket to go to China. It was actually one of the trips of my life. So I arrived in Beijing by train, and my adventure in China really started then. It was a very different country. You could just go around by bicycle. There were no cars. Definitely there was nothing in the shops that would remind of anything back home. And my passion for travel was there. So every few months that we could afford, we would just hop on a train and travel somewhere. One of my travel was to Tibet. Those days, Tibet was very difficult to get in. So I traveled with a friend of mine by train. It was like 5 or 6 days to reach the north of China, where we then had to hop on a bus to try to enter Tibet from the mountains. So we managed to get to Lhasa. It was a completely different, wonderful city, and I think the moment I stepped into that city, I knew that that's what I want to focus my attention on. Anything that had to do with Tibet. That trip marked the beginning of my new life. So a few years later, I started working for a not-for-profit organization, and I moved to Lhasa, to the capital of central Tibet. And that's when I actually met Andrea. Andrea Dominici is an Italian veterinarian and fiber expert. Andrea and I spent a lot of time working with the nomads. So one day we were walking on the grassland and we saw a little kid who was holding a yak in his hand. And he came to us and he said, I need help. My little yak is sick. Can you help us? And Andrea said, sure. He said, of course, if I can help, I help. And I remember him saying, Paola, come and touch, it's so soft. We walked to the tent where the little kid was coming from. We brought him the medicine for his yak. And we start talking with the father. We were looking at the fiber and we asked whether we could take some sample of the fiber back to Italy and try to understand whether this yak fiber was something that we could work with. That summer, we took a sample of the fiber to Italy, and when the technician put it under his microscope, he called Andrea saying, you can't believe it, the micron is almost the same as the cashmere that I have here. This is really incredible. There's nothing like that on the market right now. Looking back, I think that moment where we met that child with his little yak is really the beginning of how mYak really started. Each season in spring, we tell the nomads more or less how much fiber we think we will need. so they lose the fiber naturally. There is no shearing involved. So the nomad comb their animal very gently. They take just the younger fiber that we are interested in and put it on the side. Then all the women, they sit around and start dividing the coarse hair from the softer hair and also the color. And we ship it to Italy. And that's where we do the rest of the production until we have our beautiful skeins. That's how mYak really started, from the moment we had those few skeins in our hand. And we are so amazed on how the reaction has been from knitters all around the world and how much our yarn is appreciated. So we're slowly trying to approach a few stores. We went to trade shows and we start growing slowly but steadily. I still remember the moment I saw Susan passing by in front of my booth at the TNA show in Washington. She was on top of my dream list of stores to have. It took us a year to actually get Susan back at another show when she appeared out of nowhere and say, "I want to order your yarn for my store." And that made my day. I think I didn't, really care what else I was going to do at that show. Susan from Loop London had our yarn. And that was the beginning, not only of a professional collaboration, but for me, the beginning of a wonderful friendship. One of the happiest moments is when Andrea brought it back to Tibet and show, what together we produced. We are part of cooperative. It's not us versus them. We are really into this together. And they love to see the colors that we created, the product that we created. And they were so happy to see how the little animal, the little yaks that they are so proud of, has been transformed, or the fiber of the animal has been transformed into something so beautiful, so soft, that carries their tradition throughout the world.